After a long wait, Cobra Kai Season 3 finally dropped on Netflix on New Year's Day.
Cobra Kai's back, baby!
One of the things that makes this show so bingeable are the great characters. So today I'm going to stop and rank all 14 main Cobra Kai characters from the worst to the best. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your ranking of the Cobra Kai characters. My list isn't the right list, it's just my list, and I would love to see yours. This is also a show that has a very broad group of people that watch it, and so we all kind of connect with different people for different reasons. So our rankings are going to be wildly different. If someone's at the bottom, that doesn't mean that they're poorly written. It just means it's not someone that I connected with as much as you. With that said, let's get started. In last place is Tori. Now, I actually really do appreciate the idea of this character, that they wanted to put someone in the mix that was the rival for Samantha, and in certain scenes, in certain sequences, she fulfills that purpose very well. My problem with her is that they've written her to just be too mean and psychotic. We did get an episode in season 3 that kind of fleshed out her backstory and how troubled her home life is with a sick parent and a landlord that's trying to bang her, but that doesn't justify what she does and how angry she is at everyone else. She constantly plays the victim. Like, she kind of owns that she's responsible, but then she wants to be mad at everyone else. And that sort of thing kind of just drives me nuts. And so, especially by the end of season 3, I was just tired of her crap. Number 13, Robbie Keene. When they first introduced Robbie, I did not like him because he was manipulative and he was a liar.
You sit on a throne of lies.
And then they started to redeem him throughout season 2, and you could see his best side coming out and kind of this redemptive arc. And then he just went fully off the rails in season 3. I get Johnny was a terrible dad. I get his mom is not much better, and therefore he doesn't have a great foundation. But throughout the course of the show, both Johnny, Daniel, and a bunch of his peers have reached out to him to try and help him be that best version of himself. And with season 3, they've made it clear he wants to play the victim. He keeps rejecting them. And it's tough to root for someone. It's tough to be excited for a character that has had so many people invest so much into him and reach out so many times, and he still chooses to make bad choices. Next up, Carmen Diaz, Miguel's mother. I actually think she's used perfectly fine on this show, and she's written the way that she should be, but her role on the show is to be the concerned mother and the stable love interest for Johnny, and inherently that kind of makes her a bland character. She's not supposed to be the person that's adding drama into the mix. She's someone that's supposed to care about her son and make sure he's on the right path, and to give someone in Johnny's life that's not this sensational person to pursue after, not the high school dream, but someone normal, healthy, that's right there around him that can bring out the best of him. And for Johnny, for Miguel, that's just a stable mom, which isn't the most exciting of characters. Number 11, Kyler, the main bully of the show and the person responsible for the events of the series taking place. Of our main cast, he's probably the one that they've done the least work developing his motivation for being so mean and cruel. And I think that's kind of okay. You want to have someone in the mix that is just the manipulative bully, whether that's picking on Miguel at the beginning or being this very manipulative douchebag trying to take advantage of Samantha. We've all known someone that was just kind of like that. Even if you go back to the original Karate Kid, Johnny kind of fell into that category. And so while he doesn't necessarily have a compelling arc or this deep backstory, he fits what he's trying to do on the show well. Bringing us into the top 10 is Dimitri. Now, I did not like this character at all in the first 2 seasons. There's a good idea in the concept of this neurotic kid in their friend group, adding a interesting dynamic to it. But when he starts trying out for Cobra Kai, he's just so whiny. So when he shows up the second time to try out with Crease,
probably an easy enough fix to correct the...
You're rooting for this old man to punch this child in the face. Then he heads on over to Miyagi-Do, and he just puts in no effort whatsoever. And it's just impossible to root for that kind of character. If they don't care about it, I certainly don't care about it either. But then they changed him just enough at the end of season 2 and into season 3 that he started to care. He started to put effort into it. And so you could see the character arc there. He's even getting Yasmin, the girl that was making fun of him so much in the first season. So they did a nice turnaround where he still had the same personality, but they developed him enough that you could actually care about him. Number 9, Samantha LaRusso. Find her to be a little bit of an interesting character on the show because she fits right in the middle of kind of everything. She's rather even-keeled when it comes to her personality. On the social hierarchy of their high school, she's in the middle. She has friends that are in that initial loser group, and she's making friends with some of the popular kids. And so her character is used in a manner to kind of shake up a lot of dynamics of each of the other groups. She's put into these love triangles, and so it's easy to be annoyed by the character because of the way she's used as that middle spot between the different groups. She is the bridge in so many ways between Cobra Kai, Miyagi-Do, love triangles, all that stuff. And I think that can put a target on her that's not always fair. She makes some bad choices here and there, but she makes some good choices. She's fairly noble from the beginning of the show and trying to stand up for her friends and knowing what other people are doing is wrong. So she's not one of my favorites, but I've seen some people in the comments that hate her character, and I'm certainly not in that category. Next up, Stingray. For me, he's probably the best spice character on the show. What I mean by that, he's not a main course. He's not a main character that gets a big plot line, but he's a nice addition when he's sprinkled into scenes. Much like you don't eat a handful of salt, unless you're me in middle school trying to impress your friends at the lunchroom table. But you sprinkle salt onto the main course and it makes it better. And that's what I feel like this character did for season 2. He just added a ton of fun to every episode in every sequence that he showed up in as this guy that's way too old to be a part of Cobra Kai.
I'm not afraid of kids, sir. And my mom, she doesn't charge me rent, so I got a lot of cash to burn.
And he doesn't seem to be aware of the fact that he doesn't belong with a group of high schoolers. It's just a nice, interesting dynamic. I've known people like that. Actually, I've kind of been the guy that was like that. And Paul Walter Hauser nails the performance. He's just an absolute blast. Speaking of Paul Walter Hauser, he's actually in the 2021 Movie Trivia Schmodown Draft. Speaking of the movie trivia draft, who else is in it? Here I am. One Sean Chandler, which is mind-blowing to me that I'm in the same draft as him, and there's a potential that I could face him in the movie trivia Schmodown. Mind blown. Number 7, John Kreese, the original Karate Kid villain, returns for this show where they're able to kind of flesh out his backstory a whole lot so you understand why he is the way that he is. He's a little bit like if John Rambo decided to open a karate dojo instead of shooting up a small town.
Glad you made it!
In the one sense, he is a very one-dimensional, manipulative villain on the show, but by kind of giving us certain flashbacks and fleshing out the fact that he truly believes what he's doing is right because he was so broken by the war, he almost becomes a sympathetic character. And they start to show you, especially in season 3, the way he kind of makes his way into certain people's lives and kind of tricks them into following him. It's very conniving the way that he does all of it, very compelling at the same time. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but every time they cut to him, he does this like slow look up thing, and as soon as my wife pointed it out to me, I couldn't stop noticing it. Then we have Aisha Robinson, the second Cobra Kai student and the student that was able to convince Johnny that girls can be in karate.
There are no girls in Cobra Kai.
Why not?
Same reason there aren't women in the army.
Doesn't make sense, right? I'm just saying women aren't meant to fight. They have tiny, hollow bones.
Where I think this character really shined was in season 1 in her dynamic with Samantha. As you see the popular girls picking on Aisha, and you have Samantha in the middle, and throughout the course of the season, as Aisha finds her strength through Cobra Kai, moves up the social ladder as Cobra Kai shakes all things up. There's a really interesting journey in that without it necessarily being kind of Miguel's full-blown, very close mentor relationship with Gianni. Likewise, she has a more tempered version of Hawk's journey where she doesn't go full-blown psycho felon like Hawk does, but you can see her move from the person being bullied to doing some things that definitely fall into the bully category. There's something interesting about the way the show does these turnarounds so well. In 5th place, Amanda LaRusso. Now, I don't know if this is a character that the younger viewers of the show will connect with as well as I do, but I love the fact that she's the voice of reason on the show. From the very beginning, she's calling out Daniel on his crap. She wants to support her husband. She wants him to kind of connect with his daughter through karate. She appreciates a lot of those things about him. They work together, but she's watching him do all of these incredibly petty things, and all along the way, she calls him out on it without overreacting. She's kind of amused by it.
What are you, Tango and Cash?
Tango and Cash were narcotics detectives.
Oh, I'm sorry. You do realize neither one of you are cops, right?
She thinks it's funny while also being like, no, seriously, you need to kind of come back from the world of crazy. I think that she's written wonderfully on this show to not come off like the nag, to still be fun, to still be supportive, but that voice of reason that this show and these characters so desperately need. In 4th place, Hawk. Of all the characters on this show, he might be the one that's had the biggest character arc of them all. He starts off as this timid kid that is bullied and very insecure about who he is, and through Cobra Kai finds his confidence in discovering this new side to himself. But he embraces it so much that he ends up becoming the thing that he hated. And for a while, he keeps on heading down this path without looking back, but they start introducing just enough moments where you realize that he's pretending to be the confident person that rejects all that stuff. Where Dimitri brings up Doctor Who and he snaps out of it for just a moment.
What's he like?
She's badass.
She?
And then as you move into the 3rd season, and he just goes way overboard, becomes an actual full-blown felon that snaps his friend's arm, and you see that doubt in his mind as he realizes, I am even worse than the people that turned me into this. Here's where this character gets really interesting for me. Had they done the redemptive arc earlier in the season, maybe right after he snapped Dimitri's arm, he would have easily moved into the top 3 for me. But if they hadn't put the redemptive arc in there, he probably would have been bottom 5 for me. With them doing it, but maybe a little bit too late, he's certainly one of the more compelling characters, but I can't go top 3 because I don't think they told the story as efficiently as they probably should have. Real quick before I give you my top 3, be sure to share your ranking down below in the comments section. If I left out some of your favorite characters, go ahead and throw them into your list. There's nothing magical about these 14 people. They were the ones that stood out to me as the main people and the ones that popped the most. Some of you connect with other people. I'm a lot older than some of you, so let me know your ranking down below in the comment section. Also, I've done a bunch of other Karate Kid and Cobra Kai content, ranked the movies, ranked the seasons, reviews. Check those out right up here if you've enjoyed this video. In 3rd place is Daniel LaRusso, the original Karate Kid. Now, he's not the easiest character to root for on this show because in the one sense, he's so successful, but in another sense, he's kind of in the middle of a midlife crisis and he's lost his compass that was Mr. Miyagi. And so he makes a lot of really bad choices at times, especially in season 1, where he's responding in such a petty manner to Johnny's reemergence inside of his life. But all of that is consistent with the Daniel of the original Karate Kid trilogy. He's always been hot-headed and impulsive, but here he's more mature. He has his wife to try and talk him down from some of the crazy, and so whenever he goes too far, he dials it back and tries to course correct and find that balance in his life. As someone that grew up watching the original trilogy, I love seeing him in this phase of life, making the good choices that he's making, as well as making all the bad choices. Once again, not the easiest person to root for, but compelling nonetheless. Our runner-up, Miguel Diaz, our main Karate Kid of this show, who finds an unlikely mentor who trains him in karate and helps him find his confidence. But what makes the show Cobra Kai have that interesting new dynamic to it of the karate that he's taught has some consequences for him that weren't intended. So as you get to the end of season 1, where he finds his confidence, he also finds a mean streak that's not the best version of him, that kind of sets him down a dark path throughout the second season, all of it culminating in the big school fight at the end of season 2, where he's seriously injured, where more so than ever, he needs Johnny there in his life as the sensei to bring the best out of him, and for him to bring the best out of Johnny. And in doing so, you kind of bring Miguel back to that version of him that's really likable, that's found his confidence, that's on the right path. And so much what the show does well is have characters that have multiple layers, and they make good choices, they make bad choices, they go down good paths, they go down bad paths, and Miguel has gone down a bunch of them in a more balanced fashion than the other characters on the show. But easily coming in at number 1 for me is Johnny Lawrence. The bully from the original Karate Kid is put front and center, and we see the events of that film from a different perspective, all setting up the events of this show where Daniel's become very successful, and now Johnny's become kind of the loser underdog. And through the course of the story, he becomes kind of the unlikely Mr. Miyagi while having a wildly different personality and his own set of faults. And the results have all of the emotional impact of the original Karate Kid while also being very, very funny. The way they characterize Johnny as this guy stuck in the 80s that never moved into the digital era leads to so many amazing moments where he's learning about Facebook and laptops. And of course, he's written to be unbelievably politically incorrect. And it's hilarious.
Nice shirt.
Thanks.
I'm joking, it sucks.
The doctor said I could be on the spectrum.
I don't know what that is, but get off it pronto.
But what makes him so interesting is that he gets this redemptive arc from all the mistakes that happened before the show started. He keeps facing setbacks. Daniel is making things very difficult for him, but he's trying to help this kid Miguel, and along the way, he's realizing the faults of what he was taught. He's realizing the faults of what he's been teaching, and he changes. When you combine that character arc with the hilarious characterization, without question for me, he comes in at number 1. If you enjoyed this video and want more like it, check out that playlist right over there. I got the Cobra Kai seasons ranked, Karate Kid movies ranked, several reviews. If you enjoyed this video, there's definitely something else in there that you'll enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much.